The Fantasy Fanatics Podcast on SportsTownChicago.com. Welcome back to Fantasy Fanatics on SportsTownChicago.com. I'm Ryan Stuppridge.
I'm Andrew Freeman.
I'm Ryan Risky.
And now, on the Illinois Center for Broadcasting Hotline, we have Chris Simpson from the Daily Blitz. What's going on, Chris?
What's going on, boys? How y'all doing?
Fantastic.
We're doing well.
I'm doing really good, actually.
Freeman.
I'm really good. We are 2-2 on the wager now.
Yes, we are.
We're all even up. And we're 4-0 with calling the games, so I'm pretty proud about that, too.
Yeah.
You should tell the audience what I had you tweet out since I won.
I don't have my phone with me right now because I don't have my phone, so...
It's all right. I got my phone. I'll tell people.
I'm sure you do. You go tweet it out.
I'll tell people what you had to say. It's all right. So I had him tweet out, "Oh my, at Freeman Radio is a hell of a guy, man among men and Hercules to the ladies. If you think otherwise, you can go straight to Hades. Thank you." Oh, and you added hashtag you know what. I'm disappointed
guy,
in you.
I gotta mix it up sometimes. I can't keep calling you a bastard.
Even though he wants to.
But that word wasn't radio friendly, sir. I can't say it.
No, it wasn't radio friendly. So
I'll just say man phallus. Nah, I can say that.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's better.
Much better.
You know, most people don't know what a phallus is.
All right, Ryan Risky, start us off on who you think should add, and then ask for Chris's opinion.
Well, I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going to be angry at Brandon Oliver. I know Freeman's one of those guys, so maybe after the week you go and pick him up. Right now there's really no running backs on the market unless you want to take Isaiah Crowell because he actually did better than Ben Tate last week, I think. Or was that 2 weeks ago when he had the touchdown?
He's always getting touchdowns.
Yeah, he's always been getting a lot of touchdowns. So a team like Freeman's, who's desperate for touchdowns, he might be a good pickup because it looks like he's going to be getting some red zone carries.
I'm desperate for wins, period.
You're desperate for points, 49.
Yeah, that was bad week.
That's the Vagabonds haven't even done that bad.
I need to play him every week.
All right, Chris, who do you think you should pick up this week?
Oh, man, well, like you said, there really aren't any good running backs on the market right now because I was actually looking for a few this week because I don't know if Darren Sproles is going to start. I know I have him on my team, but you can't really go wrong with Crowell, like you just said, because he's a guy that can run in between the tackles, can turn what looks to be a small gain into a big gain, and he's just a runner. He's a downhill runner. And, Andrew, you called it last week about Buffalo. Neither one of those guys can stay healthy, and now they're both out.
I'm just saying, man. They're both out now. And it was back-to-back plays almost where they went out. It was ridiculous.
Exactly.
Both on stretchers. It was very dramatic.
At the wide receiver position, Doug Baldwin might be an interesting case because now it looks like he's Russell Wilson's number one target with Percy Harvin traded. I mean, he had a pretty good game last week. And, I mean, now he'll probably be the number one guy.
Yeah, and I definitely start him. He's going to get his looks. I think he's the one that really knows this offense because when Golden Tate was there and Percy Harvin was there, he was really the number 3 option. Now with neither one of those guys gone, now with neither one of those guys there, Doug is the guy that has to step up.
As far as quarterbacks are concerned, there's a couple guys on the market probably that might be worthy of adding, like Brian Hoyer for Cleveland. He's going to be playing Oakland, so that might be a good add.
That sounds like a Freeman, something Freeman would say. Just pick up anyone playing Oakland or Jacksonville.
Yeah, well, sometimes that works. Do you agree with that, Chris?
Or pick up anybody Detroit, because they're playing Atlanta. Atlanta can't stop anybody to save their lives.
True.
What do you make of Brett Favre's comments that Austin Davis could be the next Kurt Warner or Tom Brady?
Tom Brady is kind of stretching it. He's going to have one hell of a career in order to be considered the next Tom Brady. But I think he's one of the best guys that you've never heard of. He's played good football, has the Rams, got the Rams a pretty big win last week against defending champs. Plays tough, game manager, but he can get the ball down the field. I won't say that too much. I think he can build a name for himself, though.
What's wrong with the Seattle defense this year? Because there's someone in our league that took the Seattle defense in the 5th round, and that's kind of looking like a bad pick.
Well, I think the whole team is still celebrating last year's Super Bowl accomplishments. They're still drunk off the bubbly. That's a good way to put it. But they just don't put fear into people like we've been accustomed to seeing. Teams are running it at them like it's nothing, and teams are attacking that secondary like it's nothing. I can't tell you how many times I've seen Richard Sherman thrown at, Cam Chancellor thrown at, Earl Thomas thrown at, Byron Maxwell. So they're not stopping the run, and you saw the Rams really take a play out of Dallas's playbook. The football all over them.
It's probably because they're doing all those commercials. Anyways, moving on. There is a running back you could pick up, and his name is Denard Robinson. He ran 22 attempts for 127 yards and 1 touchdown. So that's someone I would add.
That'd be a pretty good pickup.
I would say. He's surpassed everybody, and even though what's-his-face is coming back, what's that? Toby Gerhart. Toby Gerhart's coming back next week, and they're still thinking that Denard Robinson's going to get the starter position.
Not like Toby Gerhart was proving that he was worthy of the starter position or that contract that he got.
Sort of a Peyton Hillis type fall from grace.
At least he didn't get on the cover of Madden.
True.
Let's talk about some of the drops for this week. Besides certain defenses like the Chargers or the Bengals or something, is there any other running backs that you can think of that are worthy of dropping? Maybe somebody like Zach Stacy.
Oh yeah, that's a perfect one right there. That's exactly what I was going to say, because he's really not answering up to the task, and everybody thought he was going to be a little bit better this year, coming off the success of last year.
Now, is Trey Mason now the starter for St. Louis?
That's what I would go with. I was so impressed with him in college at Auburn. Now he's finally getting his shot. I know he had a couple of issues holding on to the ball, but now he's doing the right thing. He's tucking the ball in. He's a downhill runner. And it always seems as if the running back position has the most success transferring over into the pros.
Okay, and now for the tight end position, I know Larry Donnell had that big, I know he's on a bye this week. He had that big 3-touchdown week, and then he didn't do much since then. And then Victor Cruz went down with the injury, and then he had 7 catches for 90 yards last week, except he had the 2 fumbles. So do you think he might land in Tom Coughlin's doghouse, or do you think he's still the number 1 tight end?
I mean, I think he could land in Tom Coughlin's doghouse, but I still think he's a guy that a lot of people are going to pick up because they're going to look to him more down the middle, because that's where Victor Cruz really was at his best, working that seam, running that seam route, running the numbers on the inside and working the middle, working the flat.
Someone I foresee being droppable is Brandon Oliver. As you saw last night, he really couldn't do anything against the Denver defense.
I mean, if you take out that garbage time run with 20 seconds left, he had a horrible game.
Ryan Matthews is coming back, so I would definitely drop Brandon.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, let's move on to some big games of this NFL Week 8. We'll start with the Bears as they travel to Foxborough to play the Patriots. Is there any chance that you could see the Bears winning this game?
I mean, every team in the NFL always has a chance to win any given Sunday, but the Patriots have a lot of issues right now on defense. They're missing their best player in Chandler Jones, don't have their leader in Gerard Mayo, but New England always has that one man goes down, the next man must step up mentality, and the Bears are a mess across the board.
That's why Belichick
the Bears made Ryan Tannehill look like the second coming of Doug Flutie last week.
Yeah,
now they're facing Tom Brady. I like the Patriots in this one.
Except with the way the Bears' season's been going this year, they'll beat New England and then lose to Tampa Bay and Minnesota at home.
I just feel like Foxborough. I mean, you thought the Dallas-Seattle game was huge when Dallas beat them, first team to beat them in 2 years or whatever.
No, Arizona beat them last year.
Okay, the second team to beat them in the last 3 years or some. It was some
it's ridiculous how much they win there.
Foxborough, New England at home only lost 3 times since 2009.
By the way, they haven't lost an October home game since 2005.
And I don't see that. Yeah, and I definitely don't see that happening anytime soon.
Right. And I'm gonna retract my statement. Tom Brady's turned it on. I don't know where this is coming from. Last year he just seemed sort of gassed, but now he's actually doing really good.
You look at last year compared to this year. He had a completely new receiving core last year.
Yeah, he did.
You know, Aaron Dobson, he's a rookie. Kenbrell Tompkins was a rookie. Gronk wasn't there. You had Amendola, and you had Edelman. He lost everybody from 2012. We obviously know what happened with Aaron Hernandez. Gronk was injured. They let Deion Branch go, and they let Wes Welker go.
Plus, they released Brandon Lloyd.
Which I thought was a crazy thing that happened, because he's the most athletic wide receiver I've ever seen play.
I was shocked that they didn't pick him up when their wide receivers weren't catching the ball as much as they needed to.
Yeah, because this guy, I mean, he's smaller, but he plays with a chip on his shoulder. He goes up and he gets the football.
Right. Now, there's another big game, and this is going to be a primetime game between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Arizona Cardinals. They're both 5-1. They're both looking to continue their leads in their divisions. Who do you think is going to win this game?
I like Philly in this one, and if Philly can play any way like they did 2 weeks ago before their bye against the Giants, this is a team I really don't want to face. They can run the ball. They got Shady involved early and often. You know, Foles took care of the ball, and the Eagles have the best player you've never heard of, and his name is Zach Ertz.
Right. I think it matters what Foles shows up, because some games Foles is just terrible, like the Redskins game.
The 49ers.
Yeah. Just really bad. And Shady, I mean, he's had an okay season, but he's been completely shut out.
Bad.
He's been completely shut out some games.
You can't go around saying you're the best, especially after having a season like you did last year, because defenses are going to listen to that, and then they're going to make it a point of emphasis to stop you.
Let's talk about the Packers and Saints. The Saints are 2-4, but they play really well at home. They're going to be in their dome in New Orleans. The Packers come in there at 5-2, and Aaron Rodgers is really on a roll. Who do you think's going to win this game?
Well, let me ask you three this. Other than Aaron Rodgers, who's the one guy on the Packers offense that's the most productive?
Jordy Nelson. Yeah.
Bingo. And me being a former defensive player myself, for the life of me, you have to make it a point of emphasis to stop him. Limit his big play production down the field because they don't have a good tight end. Force Aaron Rodgers to hand the ball up. You have to do something to take him away. But Green Bay, they're rolling right now. I think this is the second-best team in the NFC behind the Dallas Cowboys.
Wow.
Wouldn't be surprised if
true.
they got that first-round bye in the NFC and got one of the top 2 seeds. But then when I look at the Saints, having that legendary star quarterback is important and everything in Drew Brees, but when you don't have 5 guys to protect him, that causes a lot of problems. And he doesn't really have time to set himself in that pocket, not getting the ball down the field on time like he wants to, and their defense can't stop anybody. I think this is going to be a shootout. I don't see any type of defense being played in this. I like the Saints at home. I think this is a must-win game for them, and they know if they win this, they're 3-4, 1 game under 500 instead of being 2-5 and 3 games under. Because if they're 2-5, their season's pretty much done in the competitive NFC.
Who on the defense for Saints is going to stop Jordy Nelson or Alex Cobb?
They got to do something.
Not Alex Cobb. Randall Cobb. My bad. Pitcher. I can't see the Saints stopping, but I can see the Green Bay stopping the Saints. So I wish this was a Thursday game because I would just revel in it. I would revel in it.
Shut up, Andrew.
All right. Chris, before we let you go, where can people find your work online and on the radio for the Daily Blitz and stuff?
The website is dailyblitz61.com. The Facebook fan page is facebook.com/The Daily Blitz. You can follow us on Twitter at DailyBlitz_61. And as far as shows, every Wednesday I'm on the Sports Den with the chef Paul Doobie, the big man Nick Russell, and the ravishing one Roy Herman. Been their contributor since August of 2012. Going strong. The show has grown in a lot of ways. You can check us out every night, every Wednesday night. Begins at 8:30. I'm usually on at 9, doing their football segment, picking some games, answering your questions, talking about college or pro. Friday, I'm on Polar Opposites with Steve Sufferton and Ryan Cole on SportsTownChicago.com.
Right.
Every Friday morning at 10:40 a.m. Then I'm on Fantasy Fanatics with you three, and then I contribute for WXCI 91.7 in Connecticut. And then sometimes on Saturdays, which I'll put the announcement out, I contribute for a show called The Chicago Beat with my good friend Mikey Mercado.
Sounds like a lot of fun, Chris, and thanks for calling in to Fantasy Fanatics on SportsTownChicago.com, and have a good rest of your day.
Not a problem. Thanks, guys.
I'll see you next Thursday, buddy.
I'm sure you will.
All right, that was Chris Simpson from the Daily Blitz 61. Follow him on Twitter at DailyBlitz_61. The Fantasy Fanatics Podcast on SportsTownChicago.com.